I've got no doubt in my mind that I could be the world's #1 comedy marketer. I think I can be. Can I be Jimmy Carr? Can I be Sean Locke? I don't know, because there's guys out there who do that. These guys are like fucking brilliant, but they don't have a fucking 9 to 5 in marketing and AI, and they wouldn't know that world really well.
And we're back, episode 5 of What Just Happened, and I am back on this side of the table. So someone has my seat, and it's not Danny. Danny is taking the time out today. I'm here with my co-founder of Shake Content, Harry Williams, and today we are joined by probably the funniest guy on LinkedIn right now. It's not us two.
I thought you were talking about me.
It's not you.
It's not Danny.
It's not me. It's certainly not Danny. It's Henry Hayes.
Hi guys.
We have Henry in the studio. About 12 months ago to current day, you have blown up, absolutely blown up on LinkedIn. I think not just in the UK where you're based, but right around the globe for comedic sketches, always linking back to sort of B2B marketing, parody. You know, so many examples jump to mind. You were recently in Miami doing a Grand Theft Auto sketch, which I think, although it was just amazing, there's actually so much detail in there, which when we spoke previously, was just incredible. But before we jump into the devil of the detail, Henry, why don't you explain to us, as two keen marketers, two people who love stories, tell us a bit about your story. How did you come to work for Passion Fruit, where you're currently VP of Marketing?
Yeah.
But what was your journey before that?
Great. James, Harry, thanks a lot for having me on the pod.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot. Lovely to have a beer here. Well, it's been a bit of a wild ride, if I'm being honest. I think 2.5 years ago now, I ended up becoming the marketing director of an e-bike retailer in the UK called Fully Charged. I still couldn't tell you how to change a tyre. I'm generally being serious. I just sort of saw opportunist. I saw sort of a little clink in the market for e-bikes, and I went in and I was basically working on the floor there. Then I got into sort of marketing and comms, and then I ended up becoming marketing director, and it's still in existence now and doing really well. But I found myself kind of a bit lost, I suppose. I was kind of doing a bit of YouTube content, doing typical D2C stuff, like a load of paid media and all that type of jargon. And then I basically always had a knack for like wanting to do comedy. I was kind of always there, like thinking, God, I want to do this. And sort of, 4 a.m. around at my mate's house and stuff like that, I was always doing like jokes and skits and all this type of stuff. My best mate and my wife was just like, mate, you just need to kind of crack on and do this, I think, So I decided to sort of do some social posts. That's it, really. I mean, like, social media is at your fingertips. It's free, as Gary Vee would tell you, left, right, and Willy every day. And I just thought, let's put some stuff together. And it's kind of weirdly, I started doing some like observational comedy on Londoners, and that's where maybe some people kind of recognised me to begin with. And that kind of, in sort of a bit of an anomaly, I suppose, kind of took off very quickly. I think the production value on those type of videos was very different to what other sort of stay-at-home content creators were doing at the time. I put a lot of effort into them. I put outfits on, all this type of stuff. And it was from there that my now boss, Rafi Salama at Passion Fruit, found me and asked me if I wanted to give B2B marketing a go. And I didn't know what B2B marketing meant. I genuinely had no idea at the time.
That's amazing.
Honestly, I was like, yeah, sure. Like, what do I do? He's like, well, you market to businesses. I'm like, okay, not like consumers. And he was like, no, mate, to sort of enterprise and mid-market businesses. And I was like, what's mid-market? I'm being deadly serious. Yeah.
When we spoke last week, you mentioned that Rafi had this like grand plan in hiring you, like a real like visionaries.
Yeah.
Like saw what was happening with the industry and really like predicted what would happen over the next couple of years. Could you like tell everyone a bit about how that worked?
He
So
slid into your DMs.
He slid into my DMs. Rafi slid into my DMs. He's just had a second kid, but he slid into my DMs, and he's still thinking a few steps ahead, really, Rafi. And as is Issa, his co-founder. And at the time, I didn't realize what he really wanted me to do. But he basically said, you know how you do these end-to-end TikToks? I was like, what do you mean? Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. And he was like, well, yeah, you write them, you then perform them, you then edit them, you put them out. I was like, yeah. He was like, well, can you run events? I was like, what? And he was like, well, they're the same thing. You kind of just, you go through producing it, you then go out there, you perform them, and then you put them all together and you put it out. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. And so I did that for a year at Passion Fruit, and we had sort of relative success in that. I was kind of interviewing At the time, we were a seed stage startup about to become Series A, and I got the chance to interview people like Top Jewel, Emily English, Grace Beverley. And the whole idea was just to get some noise around Passion Fruit, the brand. So we got businesses like AB InBev or PepsiCo or Mars, HSBC, these type of companies to come involved with those events, and subsequently became clients off the back of it, which was fab. Mm-hmm. And then it was a year into that when I had my review in December 2024 that he said, right, all those events. I was like, yeah, so you're not doing them anymore. He's like, we're gonna get a team, a really good team to come in and to work on that, but you are just gonna do LinkedIn comedy. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, these things you do on Instagram, the end-to-end stuff. I was like, yeah. He was like, well, now you do that on LinkedIn. And I was like, so you're telling me I'm gonna be paid to do that on LinkedIn? And he was like, yeah, exactly that. And you're gonna generate leads, and if you don't generate leads inside of 2 or 3 months, we're gonna pull you out of it. And if you do, then you can just up it. And that's kind of when I started, really, in sort of Jan-Feb 2025, making content on LinkedIn.
And did he just give you free roam to run with that strategy and take it from there? Because obviously the some of the more recent videos, like the Marcus Arabla one, huge production value. Was he just like, you have all the money, go do this, or how did that come about?
I think the brutal, honest reality of it is because I've been doing the Instagram and TikToks for a bit. I kind of always knew how to do it on a very strict budget because I was doing it for myself. So we kind of always knew that I wasn't going to be taking the Michael to begin with the budgets.
Now you are.
So
now you're on a plane to Miami to go.
How many leads now, Emery? Come on, mate.
Exactly. I have to rent a Mustang. It's for the video. It's for the video.
Exactly that. But I think you'd be surprised at actually how much these videos cost. They really don't cost much. And I think it's got a lot to do with people internally at Passion Fruit, as much as the freelance network that we've got at Passion Fruit. They really go above and beyond and sort of take that extra mile because it's such a good culture at Passion Fruit that people, despite maybe them being in a video, we've had software engineers in our videos, or we've had SDRs in our videos, or we've had loads of different people in our videos. It's not adding towards their target, but because I think Passion Fruit is a company where we all muck in together, and we're all able to we're able to kind of find a strength out of people out of nowhere. And so weirdly, and Eleanor, if I was to use Eleanor as an example, who's in my team, she just loves doing costume and makeup. She just loves it.
And she's good at it.
And she's brilliant at it. And she's also a brilliant actor and writer as well. And the same as Jenna. It just means that you get people who have buy-in initially from the very outset. And so the actual cost is often covered by people maybe just going that extra mile, which I think really resonates in the content that gets put out. But to start with, it wasn't, I think we did our first hi-fi sketch, our first for marketers sketch in July last year, which was the bear sketch, which was the one that kind of popped and got a lot of traction. But before then, it was very much the 9:16 format, akin to the Henry Hayes comedy on Instagram. Yeah. And we still picked up sort of good traction from that and getting good leads from that initially. Yeah, which is fab.
So initially, who was in that marketing team? It wasn't Passion Fruit now is much bigger than it was then.
Yes.
But then there was more resting on your shoulders maybe than you realized. Whilst now, although you have a higher responsibility, I think you've been promoted twice since being at Passion Fruit. But
love that. There we are. Look at that. He's been reading up on it. So good.
That's so much.
I've got your LinkedIn, I think.
Yeah, he's got the bio. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Do spend a little bit of time
nice.
here and there on the platform. But,
love it.
You've been promoted a couple of times since being at Passion Fruit. But back then, I think potentially because you were so new to each element of that role, did you realize how much was kind of on your shoulders to bring in leads, or was Rafi just kind of saying mate, if it works or doesn't, no worries?
I probably didn't realize at the time, if I'm being honest. I think the events, we got them to a really good spot where they kind of started running like clockwork, and we were doing.
And these were these micro events.
We call them events. I mean, they were basically marketing meetups, breakfast and lunches, or dinners.
This episode is brought to you by Bucci, a hard kombucha drink made here in the UK. Has all natural ingredients and live cultures. Comes in 3 flavors: pear and elderflower, ginger and lemon, and my personal favorite, wild berries. You can jump over to drinkbucci.com, which is drinkbuci.com, to get yourself some hard kombucha Now back to the episode.
To be honest, we did that in our first year, and actually the ROI on those weren't fab. We actually realised that doing smaller, intimate events, 4 to 5 marketers around a really nice dinner table like Fallow or something like that, actually worked just as well as getting in these big names. So basically, by the time that it got to me doing the content, we kind of had a insurance kind of cover blanket, whatever you want to call it, pig and blanket, I don't know where my mind went there, with the events arm. So we kind of could always fall back on that. And the team back then did a really good job of just kind of keeping that steady as I was out there doing it. But it was very alien to me because I basically had a new team who was doing all of that, and my sole focus was the content. And Rafi made it very clear that, like, no, you do not manage this side. You've got that
taken away it completely from you.
Yeah, and as a leader within the function, which I was then, I think I was marketing lead, maybe about to become head of marketing. It was very hard for me initially to let that go. Not from like just not helping. You know, like the team, they were 25, 26, trying to get, you know, CMOs and VPs of marketing in a room, and I was out there basically performing like a monkey on LinkedIn. So, you know, but it started to work, which is fab, and then obviously started to be able to get more people involved, and probably now the brand is kind of synonymous with the content, I suppose now, whereas maybe a year and a half ago it was, Passion Fruit, they do really cool little marketing meetups, they're a really nice brand, you should have a chat with them.
Let's move back to the bear sketch that you did in July, summer last year.
Yeah.
With Ian McKenzie, friend of the pod. Shout
Indeed.
out. Shout
Friend
out,
of
Ian.
the pod. You guys smashed it, like awesome. It like kind of was that level up where you kind of were known a little bit to then known a lot.
Yeah.
Was that a wild like moment for you to really see that affirmation of people coming in, or is it more the revenue that it generated? Like, what happened?
Yeah, it was mad for something to go as big as that did on LinkedIn. You know, Ian, you know, sometimes I call him the right hand side of my brain. You know, he came to me weirdly at the exact same time that Rafi said I need to be doing comedy on LinkedIn, and Ian just kept on hounding me saying, I think you should be doing comedy on LinkedIn. And I was like, who the hell is this random guy who keeps on telling me on DMs that I should be doing comedy on LinkedIn? I've got no idea who this guy is. He then says, I live in Stoke Newington. I'm like, that's pretty handy, because so do I. And then Rafi said, you need to be doing comedy on LinkedIn. So I was like, I'll have a chat with this guy. Because Rafi said, you know, ultimately you're still doing the comedy, but you know, you've still got to potentially do some of the leadership stuff that you had to anyway, and sort of report and all that. So Ian and I went out on this venture and probably wrote the majority of stuff, and Ian helped sort of write a bit more, but he would always be my cameraman. He would always be there. Sometimes he would be doing sketches with me initially, and that was sort of scratching an itch that Ian had, because Ian does, he works with sort of founders as well, and does a lot of personal brand for people, but he also wants to be doing comedy as well as a bit of an outlet. So it's kind of a perfect union. But, you know, it's weird. On Instagram and TikTok, there's so much content out there that some stuff can go viral, and it's like, oh my God, like, this is great, this has gone viral. But like, it was so much weirder on LinkedIn that something had worked like that, because I think it's so much more of an intellectual audience. The writing needs to be so much more accurate for your ICP for it to really be nailed. Whereas in the world of Instagram and TikTok, because you're dealing with the consumer market, you've just got so many areas that you can tackle, and therefore you've got so many areas that this piece of content could do well in. Whereas in LinkedIn, it's professional market, typically white collar market, despite having 1.5 billion users on it, which is mad. You know, you've really got to understand who you're targeting. So for us to know that when we started writing that sketch, for then it to be completely actualized and then for it to pay off. And actually, I found out midway through a flight to Chicago that the video had done well, because we released it in Heathrow, and I was going out to Chicago to shoot content. Again, mad. But like Rafi said, yeah, you can get to go out to Chicago and shoot some content. I was like, what? That was the job for the week, to just generate noise. And I found out midway through the flight. I woke up, got the Wi-Fi on, and I realised that it had like 2,500 likes inside of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. And you're like, oh my God.
Unheard of on LinkedIn.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of. you know, you get entertained from 5 to 9. You scroll on your phone, you go for a few pints, you watch the football. I don't know. You bloody ride a cargo bike or a bike. I don't know. Why can't you be entertained 9 to 5 on a platform where the tab's up all bloody day?
Yep.
You know, your boss is going to have a go at you if you're on Instagram and TikTok the whole time scrolling. You're probably going to get brain rot. Let's be honest. But on LinkedIn, you can find really educational stuff that you actually need that's practical, and you can be entertained at the same time via short form. And the real smart people do both. Like, you know, the edutainment stuff is exceptional.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time with our clients. Right? We refer to it as the earn the eyeballs strategy,
great.
Which is like you put out something that is a bit more lighthearted, it's a bit less serious.
Yes.
Or it's something you know is going to garner a few more impressions, a few more likes, not necessarily drive business outcomes, but then actually we'll follow up with a piece of content that is much more strategic, much more aimed at trying to reach a certain audience, trying to drive the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that second post, fine, it's never going to do the numbers of the first, but that's the one that does all the numbers you care about commercially.
And it's the one that converts probably. And
Absolutely
I think with us at Passion Fruit, we have my account that's very much this brand awareness account that's all about getting those sort of high impressions. And then Jenna as well is kind of sweeping in there, doing that type of stuff as well, alongside some more ABX targeted stuff, which really works. You've then now got out of nowhere Theo Bailey doing this singing SDR stuff, which is kind of mad. I had a meeting with him today. And then you've got Rafi on this arm, which is sort of that quite like, here's actually 5 things that Pip has done for you this week. Here's 5 things that marketers can now do with AI this week, courtesy of our product. And I think that kind of works as this nice sort of holistic funnel in order to then push people into wherever you want to push them into, whether it's meeting booked or whether it's an event or all this type of stuff to get them down the funnel.
Yeah, we literally called you a marketing funnel earlier. We said like the Passion Fruit team is like one marketing funnel. It's like brand awareness all the way through to...
Hey.
No, your ears must have been burning. We were talking about you all day long.
Oh, nice. That's good to hear. Thank you.
You've created, you and your team, you and Rafi and the rest of the Passion Fruit team, I don't want to say a playbook, but a replicable formula that is working time and time again. I'm not saying they all work, right? But a lot of them hit really well. And I'm sure what we perceive looks really good. You're like, it could have been better because you're working in a slightly different echelon to most. Talk us through it. How are you actually building out these sketches, and what are your opinions on these sketches versus probably what you're being tasked for in your OKRs on a quarterly basis?
Nice, yeah, great question. Well, your own employees are your best voice pieces. So lots of people get this wrong where they get in other actors or something. They go, oh, we have this great idea to do this great thing on LinkedIn. We're going to get in like an actor. Now, if it ain't Jude Law, okay, which Lagora did, then it's going to be hard for you to facilitate that on LinkedIn. What works on LinkedIn is continually having a head of marketing or a head of events in Jenna or Rafi as the CEO continually flood your feed. Is in time those posts end up getting better impressions, and you get better at your own craft, right? And you end up performing better. And a lot of C-suite still don't get that. They don't get that actually that's a really good route to getting good business. So that's number one, is always actually build good advocacy for your own employees. You've got to be incredibly dynamic, and you've got to be reactive in a way that the consumer world really is. And so at Passion Fruit, we've always been very fortunate to have our freelancer network. And so what I mean by that is I've got the opportunity to work with the likes of Ian, and now actually a lot of our own customers kind of do our playbook, our formula. They kind of work on this with us. But to be able to have someone in your WhatsApps telling you about the type of things that are happening on LinkedIn that week, the type of stuff that's going viral, or the type of thing that's happening in the consumer world and what that's going viral, so that you can be reactive to posting about it there and then on the spot, is a really, really good way of going about things. And then coupled with that, an ability to have hi-fi content. So Jack came in, Jack Wellham.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Very
Jack
much so,
Wellham,
very
friend of the
much so.
pod. He came in like May, June last year, and Ian said to me, he said, I've got this guy, I think he's a really good videographer. I said, what's he done before? Has he done any business work? He's like, no, he's just done, I think he was working in a sneaker brand. And I was like, brilliant, because I just don't want anyone coming in who's known business LinkedIn. And Jack rocked up with a mullet, and he's sort of like an old school like racer boy, and he like had this like Peugeot. He's like driving up, and I was like, "You right, mate?" I was like, "Do you want to post on LinkedIn?" He's like, "Just don't know what it is." I was like, "That's brilliant. That's exactly
you
what I
knew
want."
you'd found gold in that moment.
Found gold with this kid, because he was just so good at doing like that type of content. There's so many videographers, editors in the consumer world who aren't lucky enough to maybe have the type of budgets that are in the B2B world. And they're crying out for this type of work. They themselves don't think that LinkedIn is becoming that sexy. We all know that LinkedIn's in the Californian gold rush era right now, and actually give it 5 or 10 years, it's going to be like as reputable from a consumer sort of vision as the Instagram and TikToks, because actually more people are going to come over to the space. So that is a formula number one, is just finding someone, which you can find, and just really getting into their head like I did with Jack. Like, look, mate, you just stay here. This is a good spot for you. And Jack was like, bloody hell, like, I can't get over how much business I've been able to get from everyone else. So that's probably like the how you put the production together. The writing and the script writing is kind of two-folded. We use Pip, which is our marketing AI tool, which we plug into various various integrations that we've got at Passion Fruit, be it LinkedIn or be it our G Suite. To be honest, like I actually really enjoy the writing process, so I'll probably like allow it to give me like the framing, and then I'll go away and actually write that. So that's actually good. And then it's just about consistency. Like, I know everyone bangs on about this, but just do yourself a favor if you want to get into this and you believe that you've got it. Just continually put yourself out there.
What's the timeline? For consistency?
Well, it depends on hi-fi and lo-fi. So lo-fi stuff is actually really easy to push out. You put a video out, you write the video, you push it out in 9:16, and then you can edit it. And you kind of can do that within quite a few hours, and then you can put it out. The hi-fi stuff sort of takes a bit more time. But what we do from a formula standpoint is probably 2 hi-fi videos a month, and I would say 8 lo-fi videos a month.
Awesome. Let's break down then one of your videos.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people go, okay, wow, I could never do this. Like, even if I'm that funny, like Henry, Jenna, the team, I could never produce something like this. Well, maybe they can.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it. You've got Coming Home, which will have come out by the time that this video goes out.
Yeah.
So we've actually not had the pleasure of seeing it just yet. We will, of course, see that as soon as it comes out. We refresh.
Yeah.
Walk us through it. How long did the script take? How long did the filming take? How much budget you had to put across, if you can tell us?
Yeah.
Tell us some of those details.
Sure. Yeah, so LinkedIn's Coming Home is very much football's coming home.
And it is coming home.
And it's coming home. You come up with these ideas. Either they are big moments in films or things that people instantly get a visual cue on, or there's a big cultural moment in the calendar. And obviously, we're about to have the biggest cultural moment in the 4-year calendar, which is the World Cup. So where do you naturally go to? As people who are English, you probably go to that song because it's a good one. And I think the reason why it worked for us is the whole idea of 30 years of pain. Like the whole idea of being an England fan is all about, being sad, despondent, discouraged at England, but then still thinking there's hope. And actually, it's very similar to LinkedIn because LinkedIn, people are like, oh, bloody hell, LinkedIn. Like, oh, you post on LinkedIn. Oh, there's loads of AI bots on LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn this, LinkedIn
so much
that.
slop.
So much slop, right? But actually, there's hope in LinkedIn for certain people. And I know that sounds really wanky.
So inspirational.
But actually, it's very true. And actually, it's very weird. And like, it'll be out now by the time we see it. But I would say I produce everything and direct it, I suppose. I would say that Jack is our kind of creative lead, but I would say I direct most things, and Jack me and him kind of part do that. But I would say the producing of it takes like an hour and a half, because you've got to realise planning of where you're going to shoot, all of that type of stuff is the stuff that people forget. And actually, location-wise, scouting good locations in certain areas and making sure that that's all clear. We work with Scouty, they're brilliant from a location standpoint. Then the actual shooting of it, because of my day job and because I'll be in meetings with... That day I had a meeting with the CMO of Brompton, I had a meeting with the CMO of MGMK Restaurants, and I think I had another meeting as well with someone else. So I actually had to fit the day around my meetings, which is quite frustrating, I think, for Jack and Ian, but they're always really fine with that.
How dare you have
meetings?
But
that would typically only take 3 hours. So you We shot in Shoreditch Power League football, the five-a-side.
Nice.
We shot at the Clapton Heart. We shot at the underpass near the Clapton Heart as well. And that was kind of it. And we shot in a location in Tottenham where the like old 90s style working class sitting room is, where the David Baddiel and Frank Skinner are initially having like having a cup of tea at the start. That would only take typically 3 hours to film. It would take Jack half a day to a day to put together.
Is that 2 camera operators then?
No, Jack is one camera.
Just one dude.
Jack does one camera, but we ordinarily are meant to know our lines really well before we go in. Sometimes we've really winged it. Like the Joker, we really winged it. I didn't prep for that at all. Like people talk to me about the Joker and go, God, like
so good.
I can't believe you're acting in it. And actually, that's what I want to be. Like in time after Passion Fruit, like I probably want to become an actor. But it's weird that I didn't even ever like spend any time on that Joker thing because we just had so much work beforehand. So you just rock up and I've got to try and put that together. So sometimes you're really on top of it, but Jack will be like, know your lines, know exactly how you're moving, because he'll then go about and do 5 or 6 different takes or 4 takes from that angle to show the audience, to make the audience believe that there's loads of different cameras in the room. But there's not.
And
it's just Jack.
So that means
You're still filming that in 3 hours?
Yeah.
God damn.
and that means the cost of production is Jack.
Exactly.
Wow. So this is what I'm trying to get at.
Hire Jack.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to get at.
Hire Jack,
Yeah, Hire Jack is number one.
It's a promotional video for Jack, is it?
Yeah, sorry, Dan.
Yeah. But like, I would say that. I mean, like, you know, we obviously were talking about Jack, but the same would be for Elchin in Miami. You know, flying into Miami, and you know, Elchin actually didn't really talk great English. Incredible dude. He's from Azerbaijan and came over to be a professional boxer. But I've never seen a guy that works harder in the Miami heat. And again, Elchin's there, 5 or 6 different shots. Like 3 or 4 different shots at each location that we're doing time and time again. We ship that straight over to Jack into the UK, who's editing that all day, and then it's out on the Wednesday while we're there, so that marketers are picking it up at possible. That's the whole like reactive thing, and that's why having a dynamic team really helps. Is you know, I get massive pride out of that, and like with Cannes, you know, there's a video that's just come out called Dizzy Rascal Holiday for marketers. And that, you know, to be able to film that on the Monday with a videographer on the ground, Ludovic, and then sending it to Jack on the Monday night, Jack editing it all on the Tuesday. I'm like, Jack, book that day off, that day you are editing it, and then it's out on the Wednesday so that everyone in Cannes can see it on the Wednesday.
Yeah,
incredible.
And I think from experience we produce a lot of video at Shake, the involving Jack in this instance, or that producer early on from a creative process, is the only way that's possible.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think anyone who thinks it's just as simple as sending over footage to a Fiverr freelancer or something, that's going to go miserably wrong very quickly.
100%. You've got to be really on top of it. And I think that there's things that work really well reactively, and there's things that take a bit more time. So Pirates of the Cannes Lion, which probably won't be out by the time that this has come out, but that is going to take a bit longer because that's a proper narrative piece. It's like marketing, actually. I'm there as Jack Sparrow all week. We might have to be reactive to try and see what creators or what individuals are there to be in that film. But Dizzy Rascal for marketers, I'm there. I recorded the audio on my phone yesterday, doing all the rap on my phone, and sent that to an audio specialist, weirdly Jack's girlfriend, who's brilliant, Daisy Pepper. And she puts that all together, and it means that when we get to Cannes, I've got the audio, it's on a speaker behind me, Ludovic is filming it all, and I'm just banging out the lines. Just like that, rapping it.
I love that. This slightly off topic question, but you do so many of your like kind of sketches in person, in front of like in the general public, in front of other people.
Yeah.
How did you get past the cringe? Because that is always like that's a question we get so much with LinkedIn. People are always complaining about how cringy it is. Was there like a moment that you did something in particular that switched?
Is this coming from personal experience, Harry? Of
100%.
a recent...
I was filming in an airport the other day. Most cringeworthy thing I've ever done in my entire life. But today, I literally walked down the street with my Osmo just before coming in here, and that took some building up, and it took a bit of quiet. Once you're into it, you get there. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I wondered if you had like a is there a
what's
magic,
the-
is there a
yeah,
magic secret, a magic trick?
Magic Secret, but also I'd love to know what the wildest story is as well.
Yeah, okay. I've always been okay with being that individual that can just put themselves out there. One of my favourite comedy shows of all time is Trigger Happy TV, and I would tomorrow do that job. I would go into a library tomorrow and just say, I'm in a library.
Yeah,
I
fantastic.
don't mind doing that. So I think it's quite hard for me to answer that because it's just kind of in my nature, I suppose. What I would say to other people is when I'm kind of directing and stuff, and to use a wild example is, you know, if you do not put your all into this, it will instantly be shown. And similarly, if you do put your all into it, it will instantly be shown, and people will love that. So the craziest thing that we've done at Passion Fruit is is when we film Marketing Actually, Johnny Bartrick, who is a client lead at Passion Fruit, he fancies himself as a little bit of Lothario, Johnny Bartrick, and he probably is. But so I just thought, you'll be Colin Firth, why not? And I said to him, we're going to do the Portuguese scene when he comes into the restaurant and he speaks in Portuguese. And a few of our team are in Portuguese. The tech team are Portuguese. They're out in Portugal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I said to Johnny, like, I'm going to write this script in Portuguese with the help of the Portuguese team. Can you learn it off by heart in Portuguese and go into a restaurant, a live restaurant
No way.
in Patty and Bun in Brighton when there are people in there and do this scene live?
Wow.
And he was like, yeah, don't worry about it. And I honestly, we were all there as a company. It was a Tuesday night or maybe a Wednesday night. It was our Christmas do. It was in November. And everyone's so great at Passion Fruit because they knew that we were doing Marketing Actually there as well. So I actually weirdly didn't kind of have any time off. I was kind of filming all of Marketing Actually while everyone was kind of having this nice time. But Johnny, I just, at the end of the meal, I said, right, we're doing it, everyone. And everyone kind of was in on it. But there was about 40 people plus other people in the restaurant. And I went up to these people and I said, look, we're just doing this thing for our Christmas do, but Johnny just came in out of nowhere and just did this whole thing in literally one take. He did one take, just nailed it in Portuguese. Never spoke Portuguese before in his life. That was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
He'll remember that Portuguese for the rest of his life.
That was mad. And as well, doing the Miami Grand Theft Auto thing when I was running up into palm trees, I just remember thinking, you know, and taking someone's, you know, this Mustang that I got and like shifting someone out of it. I was like, this is just, I can't believe I get to do this for a living. From where I was 2.5 years ago to now, I was just overwhelmed with just sort of, I don't know, like so much thanks, like gratitude to Passion Fruit, and to Rafi for being able to do it. They obviously know how seriously I take it, which is why I still myself think it's okay that I have this feeling because I take it so seriously. But that was a wild moment.
So we talked about the creative. Let's talk about the most sexy thing about your job, which is marketing objectives.
Yeah.
How does this, you know, when we're pushing out 8 lo-fi, you know, 2 hi-fi every single month, right? So we're producing 10 videos.
That's just me as well.
And that's
on
just you.
my account. Yeah, not
so
Jenna's, not. Yeah.
We just use you as an example. That's 10 videos of great content. We can say that now. It's all great content. but what about the other probably 4 days of the week that you're not doing this, right? If you're talking, if it's a relatively simple process, you're probably doing 1 or 2 days a week is all of that. So the other 3 days, you've got a VP of marketing job. So how does this content transcend into actual commercial objectives? And what are you measuring, at Passion Fruit for how this works? And are there any processes in there which is pouncing on potential opportunities? Like how are you measuring it?
Fine. So I think the measuring is twofold. Firstly, you know, we've still got a lot of work that we do behind the scenes in building the future brand of Passion Fruit. So there's no actual KPI or OKR or whatever you want to say against that, but building out a brand new website, which, you know, Eleanor and Jenna are doing and I'm on top of that, or building out great collateral or helping the sales team with sales enablement and all that type of stuff that I do, or right now putting out an entire new content plan strategy that I'm doing at the moment for the latter half of the year. In terms of measuring this, it's pretty black and white, to be honest. Like at the moment, because the company is quite small, we can kind of attribute where these individuals have initially come from. So what I'll do to be quite granular is posts will go out and I will, via various tools, be able to scrape who's engaged with that content. Off the back of that, we'll be able to see and determine who is ICP. We've just brought in Paul, who is a part of the marketing team. He's our new automations and AI lead. Fucking bright dude. Went to Oxford, way brighter than I could ever be. And he is becoming our kind of like our sort of infrastructural sort of layer underneath everything that we put out. So he is able to understand where people are in the funnel and be able to push them if they're warm. And they've liked content before and send them warm emails saying thank you very much for liking the content, all this type of stuff. Or similarly, if they're net new individuals who we may want to try and who we've realized like content in specific ways in LinkedIn, being able to push that out to them. So like really bright stuff. And from there, we'll be able to basically find out if they've liked our content. And then from there, it will go down to direct messaging them personally, sending them a personal video message occasionally, trying to push them to one of our great events that we do. And then from that moment, it will go down to a meeting booked and an MQL. Now, an MQL for Passion Fruit is a very, very harsh MQL. An MQL at Passion Fruit is a marketplace. It is key decision maker who wants to use Passion Fruit in the next 3 months. And I've actually, and that's why Rafi's great, if I'm being honest, because he's really, really strict on that with me. He's like, you can have all your fun, but like you actually, this is the real delineation, like the real sort of delineating factor of whether or not you're doing well. So that's good. And on PIP, it's custom demo sat. Now, bearing in mind PIP, the TAM on PIP is only 30,000 people globally. It's CMOs, VPs, SVPs of consumer brands, typically 5 to 15, 20 marketers, so nothing over a bill. Rev, because those businesses have already got like digital transformation leads and all that type of stuff, like Unilever's or Barclays, all that type of stuff. So really, really clear set sort of delineation and definition of who our ICP is and what an MQL is. But I would say I am metriced on bringing in between 20 to 30 marketing qualified leads a month on Marketplace, and bringing in between 5 to 10 marketing qualified leads a month on PIP. That's what our metric is currently.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going really well. The marketplace is kind of like clockwork now. We now get inbound. So we just get people who sign up into the website now a lot, which is really cool.
Sorry, I want to follow up on that. I'm going to jump in and cut you off, which is you don't shove passion fruit down people's throats at all.
Never. No.
Like, at all.
No.
Like, it's very possible that a number of people know, oh, Henry's that guy, not passion fruit is that business. I think you've done a better job, I must admit, over the last 6 months. It's very much transcended from just Henry to then obviously the full team.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. I can kind of feel the passion fruit formula coming through.
Yes.
And therefore it's the passion fruit formula.
And you know what? That is comfortably the thing I'm happiest with. Like the one thing I would like people to take away from this, if possible, is not about all the stuff that I've done and all this stuff, but like it's a team job. And like seeing Jenna being like, oh, I want to do this, and going out and doing it, and just going out there and grabbing it by the balls, and seeing Theo going out there doing, seeing Eleanor going out there and doing it, seeing Rafi taking that on and other people taking that on, is by far and away the proudest thing, because to that exact point, we meet people, and Jenna and I met people at South by Southwest last week, and a guy said, oh, I'm just loving Passion Fruit's content. I'm loving Passion Fruit's content. And actually, what's really funny about that is it goes out on my channel, it goes out on Jenna's channel, and it goes out a bit on Theo's and a bit on Rafi's. It's not Passion Fruit branded. Yeah. It's just, but people are going, I love Passion Fruit's content. Yeah. And that right there is all you need to know about how it's so important for personality-led marketing to go through, and for people to post on their own channels.
Yeah, and so interesting, right? Whereas like people are clearly clicking through, and seeing who's paying for this, right, for sure. or whatever, right? But I think also the big one is just multiple people. Yeah, like it's ultimately come because we started seeing Jenna, and like I saw Jenna do all her ABM. I just look at her for ABM, and I think it's hilarious, like what she's doing. Some of the sketches on it is like great. But the bit which I love from Jenna, and this is a shout out to Jenna if she's listening, which is I love when she goes behind the scenes. So she sits down
really
seriously, like non-sketch, and just goes, "This is why I did it. This is actually what fucked up. This is what went really well." And I'm like, this is really cool. Like she does 10 whatever, ABM sketches or whatever. 8 of them were a disaster, but 2 of them resulted in like loads of revenue or whatever those numbers are. And I'm like, that's the bit I love. But other people will love the other side of that, right? And which is really cool.
I think Jenna's we kind of struck gold with Jenna because she is a far better marketer than I could ever be and has worked in marketing for a far longer time than me and lots of other people in the company and knows marketing inside out. But she's funny and she's really good on camera. And I would actually say that is... we don't often hire for that person. We actually often hire an Eleanor who is straight out of art school. She just had a really good LinkedIn bio, Eleanor, that read differently to every other bio. And Rafi found it and went, this girl just like writes differently to anyone else that we're seeing on LinkedIn. We should have a chat with her. And Eleanor is, she's just an artist. She's an artist, but then she's got great voice. And we're like, bloody hell, we should use that. Do you know what I mean? And now Eleanor is she does event outbound. That's her job. She goes and gets bums on seats for events. And then I'll be like, Eleanor, do you want to come into this video? She'd be like, yep, sure. Like, I'll design it. I'll do the costume. And I think that's the beauty of kind of Passion Fruit, I think, is just the ability of people to kind of muck in. And Theo, Theo's just, he's a singer-songwriter. He's got a band. Yeah. And now he does. What a voice. And we're able to go, like, let's make that your thing that you do here. And I think... Whenever anyone asks me about content on LinkedIn, I always think there's always a strength that you've got. It could be that you are a great cartoonist. Put your cartoons on LinkedIn. Like, it doesn't just have to be comedy. It could be, whatever.
That was going to be one of my follow-up questions. But one thing I would like to say, and this is a shout out to Rafi, I need to learn from you how to hire. Because this guy has clearly got an eye for it, right?
It's just, I feel like you were really looking at me when you said that, but you didn't hire me. That felt quite targeted.
No comments on that. But okay, let's jump into that then. Because I think, again, I'm playing devil's advocate a touch, right? Which is you're clearly funny. Like, there's no doubt in that. You are someone who is funny. You were funny before LinkedIn and you'll be funny after LinkedIn.
That's hope. Jesus Christ, really because you lost, aren't you? Let's get cancelled. Which could happen.
Could happen. You might be LinkedIn's first ever cancelled.
Yeah, there we are.
We'll see. Tick off the list. But, okay, so let's say someone is not funny or it's not something they want to delve into. You said, everyone's got something, but maybe just talk about LinkedIn in general. Like, where do you think good content sits and how do people find their way? Because I think, dare I say it, AI slob, we're seeing a lot of noise and people are, we have more conversations than probably any other business in the UK with leadership around yes, no, maybe around like getting started on LinkedIn or what that strategy should be. And doesn't matter on the size or the recency of the starting of that business. They could be 20 years old, they could be 1 year old, doesn't matter. You can get senior leadership that just are terrified of the platform they just jump into it's AI noise. I don't want to join it, but I do also get LinkedIn and I also feel like I should be doing it. Like, what would you be saying to them, for potentially someone who's not naturally funny?
Well, I would say rule number 1 is you should always be yourself. And like, if you don't want to post on LinkedIn, there's nothing that's going to make anything change. And I think that's okay. And, I'd use Eleanor as actually a really good example of this. Like, she doesn't post on LinkedIn 3 or 4 times a week. She doesn't really necessarily want to, but what she's bloody brilliant at is adding so much value to the team and being a team player as and when. She's great at acting, so that's a bit different. But I think, and I use Andrew Tyndall as a really good example because...
System 1, friend of the pod?
Yeah, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. I'm friend of the pod. I'm seeing him in like an hour, actually. But he just speaks like a filthy northerner. Andrew. And I'll say that again. Andrew, you speak like a filthy northerner. And that is what we need. Like, we need more people to speak how they speak. And yet they believe, they go into LinkedIn and they believe that they need to be LinkedInified.
All polished.
And I remember I spent years being in meetings, like with other people saying grandiose words and being like, and I was just like, I can't say this type of stuff. I just don't know where to begin. I used to be terrified of talking in meetings because I didn't believe that I had the right canon of words that that people would want to listen to. The moment that I just started talking like myself was the moment that I started to come across a lot more, and I didn't need to use fancy words. And so I think that would be my number one thing to people is talk like you do down the pub, and you'll probably get a lot more out of it. That's not, not to use James Smith as an example, because I really like James, but like, let's not be all like, oh yeah, like fuck him. Like, let's not be like that. There's still an element of professionalism that you need to have, but you don't need to be so worried with looking at how X individual who you really look up to talks and feels, and thinking that you yourself can't put yourself out there. Because, and we'll come back to comedy on it, but it doesn't necessarily need to be comedy, but like a Ken Cheng is a really good example of someone who just writes in his own way.
Yeah.
Ken doesn't do much video. He's just started really, but which
so
is great.
Unhinged.
So unhinged. But
So unhinged.
but for ages he just wrote in his own way, which was really good to see. And I believe what's going to happen in LinkedIn soon is people are going to start really disassociating themselves and really disliking the format. And that format is bang, 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 bang. Please reshare and follow. That's going to stop because people are going to realize that it's either AI or these individuals that are doing it are just there to try and get a following. And it's not their voice. It's not who they are as individuals. And I really make a point of that in any video that I put out or in any stuff that I ask the team to put out. Like, make it you. Don't try and just do something because you think you're going to get a few followers out of it. If you did that, we can all do it, but I would say like there is a formula where I would just repeat and I would just do the same thing time and time again. I would repeat and I'd maybe go clickbaity and it would all come out in the video, and you could get a few followers, but you'll reach a ceiling. Be yourself and be versatile and show that you are intelligent and can bring your own like way into things, and people resonate with that a lot more.
Let's go the other way then, really quickly. Summarize the success of LinkedIn as a channel for you
great.
and Passion Fruit. Like,
cool.
in brevity, like how many leads or GBP value or whatever, or USD value of revenue comes through, if you can share that. Anything like that. Like, give us a success story of, quite simply, you push out content, all 3, 4, 5 of you, the like current voices of Passion Fruit. I'm sure there's going to be many more to come. But you don't really mention Passion Fruit that much. Rafi does the most, but he's the CEO, I suppose, talking about mission, vision, values the most. But even then, like, we now are starting to see this Passion Fruit mafia come through, which is amazing for you. I'm really happy for you. I think you're a great success story of what good looks like on the platform. Honestly, you should be really proud of what you've done. I think it's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, tell us, what's the what's the success of it?
Yeah, I suppose it's pretty good, which I'm happy with. I did the numbers of last year, what we did in 2025 revenue-wise, and just on month 1, the value of money that came initially off content. And with that, 65% of that off content just went straight into meeting booked. The other 35% went into an event off the back of the content, and then into closed one. An average customer will go on and be with us for, you'd hope sort of 6 months to a year, maybe more, but that's for that particular project, and then our customer success team will go into that. So that's easily made back. The salary easily made back, the work, all of our freelancers that we've put in, and easily made back some other stuff, so that's really good. With Pip, the average order deal size is a lot bigger.
And that's what I assume, because Pip's a relatively new addition to Passion Fruit.
Started in January. I mean, we're not even, there's no website really about Pip yet or anything. It's kind of a brand new product. And we've got 20 customers so far on Pip globally.
And how many of those do you think are from content?
At the moment, 2 are from content, but we've got 5 in the last stages of closing before the end of the quarter in July. I think the reason on that front is we've literally only started working on Pip in April. So we've had 2 closed ones. before then, my job was doing
Marketplace.
I was marketplace 70% of my time at the start of this quarter and 30% of my time on Pip. As of April, we started working on Pip. So that's been really good. And then basically from our side with that, it's just like, can we flood the pipeline as much as possible with really good CMOs? Because we know that at the moment, sort of 1 in 16 really good sort of custom demo sat that we get close. So from my side, it's just how many of those great meetings that I can put in place for the team.
Amazing. Right, let's talk about what's next.
Yeah.
What's next for Passion Fruit? What's next for Henry? We are a nice midway through the year.
Yeah.
What have we got to look forward to for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, quite a lot. I think, it's funny really, because now I'm being asked to do these pods occasionally, or being asked to speak on panel shows and stuff, and talking about the formula currently, and I'm always thinking about what can be done next. And I'm very much, Vice as a company really fascinates me. I know that they've gone through the ring a bit, and Red Bull as a company always fascinates me. And I think, why can't we become the B2B media house of a generation for content?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that, we're about to bring back Noah into the team. Noah's a brilliant asset and has worked with the company for quite a long time. He, bless him, he had like a bit of an injury. He had like a head knock, and so he's been away for a bit recovering, and he's now coming back in marketing. He was in sales, and he's going to come back in as sort of our AI editorial lead. And so I'm now starting to put together like a really coherent sort of what do you want to call them? Like not just creators, but kind of like media house, journalists, editors, to really actually start to propel the brand forward and do it in quite a coherent fashion. Mm-hmm. So that's what I really want to start doing, and start housing that content as much on the website as on LinkedIn as well. It all goes out on LinkedIn, but then we've also got this great media hub that we're putting out for Passion Fruit. I think that would be really, really cool. I think the content can just go massive. Like I've got why can't we do something huge? And I really want to do Lord of the Rings, and really think quite big on that.
Yeah,
I really want to do Star Wars and really think quite big on that. I really want to start doing our own original sketches, because actually, it's all well and good doing parodies, and they work really well on LinkedIn, but starting to do our own original sketches will be quite cool as well. Yeah. And as well, I think like the other thing that I really want to start doing is I really actually start wanting to push out really good edutainment and really good educational content that also lands and pops as well. So it's not just sketches the whole time and this entertainment factor, but actually Passion Fruit becomes this voice of marketing and AI. And Rafi can be that champion for us. Noah can be that champion. Maybe some subs that Jenna does can be that champion as well. But just becoming like this B2B marketing beast, hype beast, for want of a better word, that makes marketing AI quite sexy and most importantly quite personable. And that will be like my main mission, is like AI and marketing doesn't have to be slop, and it doesn't have to be
robotic,
disassociated from who we are as individuals and robotic. It can be fun and personable and cool. And that's a fucking hard task.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to try and do.
Mate, amazing.
Love it.
We're going to get flights booked to New Zealand, and we're going to be doing Lord of the Rings in person.
Exactly that.
Absolutely. Hobbiton, here we come.
Yeah. Nice.
One last question from me, which is, where do you think B2B content marketing is going? And what do we think we'll see from brands in 2026? Because let's be fair, you're right at the leading edge of B2B content marketing on LinkedIn especially. So I'll ask that more specifically, which is, where do you think these brands, that big, small, left or right, where do you think B2B content is going to be by the end of this year?
I think it'll be in a far better place than it was at the start of the year. I think it's dependent on two factors. It's dependent on really good content creators from the D2C world looking at the B2B world and taking it seriously. And I think I know loads of comedians who are just now stopping laughing at me for doing LinkedIn. Like, when I said to guys, you know, I was on 655 or 1,000 followers on Instagram and doing pretty well. And I said, I'm going to focus my time on LinkedIn. And they like laughed at me. They were like, what, LinkedIn? And now they're starting to message me a bit, being like, oh, I saw you in this like video. And like, oh my God.
How do we get onto LinkedIn?
And I'm like, what the hell? Like, that's so funny. So I think this world here, because, and the reason why is that comedy world, or not necessarily the comedy world, the content world, let's call it, really, they struggle to get the next brand deal, or they struggle, but they're fucking funny people and they're really intelligent people. So brands getting onto that is a big thing for the movement, because then actually you're going to get really good continued content on the platform, which is in itself is going to build LinkedIn. The second thing is LinkedIn listening to creators. And I would just do anything to have a 50-minute chat with LinkedIn about the ways in which content can be better visible, the ways in which the grid, like the ways in which stuff doesn't get siloed, all of this type of stuff like the new creator feed that's coming out on LinkedIn. Sorry, the new
marketplace.
Yeah, the new marketplace, but also the video feed that
Yeah.
we still haven't got access to, but certain people do. Do you have access to it now?
We're all on it now.
Are you on it? Did you message them?
No. Make sure you do your updates. Is what I'm saying on that one. But,
Great. Okay, so that's now come out. Okay, because I did an update a few days ago. I didn't get that, but I just think it's just it can go as quickly as LinkedIn wants it to, and I believe that there will become a point where LinkedIn will have no other option but just to make this.
The interest is there now.
Yeah.
I think
the
so.
genie's out of the bottle.
The interest is there.
From what we hear from LinkedIn, there is a big desire to involve creators more so in everything from product roadmap to feedback on the platform. I think it's something which other social medias have done very effectively, and I think LinkedIn historically have been a little bit behind the times.
Yes.
But they've been on fire this year. From a
been.
product roadmap perspective, I think whoever is in charge of that needs a big pat on the back, because they have been releasing some really good features.
Yes.
They've been super transparent, historically not so.
Not so. Okay.
And we are seeing them actively pursue like against AI slop and bots and being just honest with how the algorithm, dare I say, is changing. And they're releasing these features like the creator marketplace. They brought the video feed back to the UK, which most have, not all have. They did say that it would be a slow release. It's one of those where I think it is a bit of potluck with who gets access and not. But once that's fully rolled out, which I would imagine will take sort of the next sort of 20 to 30 days, it's going to give creators like yourself, creators like us, who are producing a ton of video,
for sure.
access to a global audience, which historically they have not had.
Yes.
So if you are in the UK and you're not producing video, I'm not saying it's a must for your marketing sort of plan, but damn, it's something you should really strongly consider, because
100%.
it is going to be something which is going to help you succeed in other geographies, especially if you're looking at the US as a market.
And I think as well, like, you know, loads of people who don't know LinkedIn kind of go, oh yeah, what so-and-so taught me about so-and-so, or I'm so excited to announce X. And that kind of has always been our Achilles heel as creators on LinkedIn, because like people just immediately assume that. But what I love about the platform, and I think will always be there, and if they really protect creators and they protect people on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is actually a lovely platform. It's a place that you get really nice messages from people, and people, it's quite Americanized, you know, like it's kind of like people on LinkedIn want you to be a success.
Yeah.
You don't get that on other platforms.
Yeah.
You really don't. You might have a tribe, you know, and I'm very fortunate. I haven't really been trolled much on Instagram and TikTok. I mean, one guy called me Gammon Head, which I really appreciate.
Sorry about that.
Here comes Gammon Head with his outrageous brand of wank comedy again. I really like that. But like, you know, they can be quite toxic places, TikTok and Instagram, and LinkedIn's just never had that. And that's the one thing I think LinkedIn will always have, because people will protect creators and they'll protect individuals on that. And as a consequence, I believe that content will only go one way, because people just don't want that vicious, polarized world that is inherent in Instagram and TikTok nowadays. And if anything, LinkedIn is like the most unbiased platform out of all of them now.
Which says a lot. And I think, you know, another reason why they've pushed the verification.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I am the first person to say I don't want to be putting my passport information into a social media. Yeah. But at the same time, I think by the end of this year, I think it will be heavily weighted towards those that are verified and getting either special features or
Nice.
whatever that may look like. It's something they're clearly pushing, and for good sense, because it
Yeah.
means then people cannot hide behind a egg profile
Yeah.
and start chatting nonsense or inflammatory type content, which, as you say, I'm very grateful that there isn't a place for that, and especially for amazing creators like you, who we are grateful to come onto LinkedIn, because look, we need a bit of that light fun on the platform.
For sure.
There is much a place for the dry educational, and I'm all for it because we do a lot of it at Shake. But yeah, some of that fun and light is amazing. So on that very positive and lovely note, I think we wrap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
Thanks
for
so much
coming on,
for coming
mate.
on, Henry. Appreciate
And great to have another friend of the pod here. So that's a wrap. See you in episode 6.
Boom. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Cheers,
mate.
Henry. Thank you so much.